Hi, do you recognise this newspaper? Well, it's The Sun, a common sight in newsstands here in the UK. But if I were to turn to page 3, which I won't this evening, you'd see something that has caused controversy on and off for decades. The nude model, now more than 40 years after page 3 and its contents first went to press. Has page 3 finally had its day? Nick Payton-Walsh has more.
Britain's Sun newspaper, beneath this blurring, has had a less than subtle trick on its first inside page that's kept sales perky since 1970. Page 3, nudes among the news. A decades-old institution to some.
Nice to look at, yeah.
It's there, why not?
To others, decades out of date. Well, perhaps it made commercial sense in the 1970s, but now the internet gives people anything they want, whenever, and struggling newspapers are trying to lure women readers, not offend them, enough so that the Sun's troubled owner is thinking again. Rupert Murdoch, reeling from phone hacking scandals, tweeted recently he might replace page 3 nudity with, quote, glamorous fashionistas, like those now on the Sun's weekend pages. Too late for some.
It's exploitative. It's from the 1970s, and the girls back then were very young that they were putting in the newspaper. They're not that much older now, but it really feels very outdated, that kind of sexism.
Long ago, page 3 could launch a woman's other talents.
Touch me, I wanna feel your body.
Sam Fox sang her way to the top of the pops after dropping her top. One former model who page 3 defined tells us it's time it went.
In England, I will always be known as Linda Lusardi, the page 3 girl. It's time for it to go. Things have moved on so far with the internet and everything else that I don't feel we really need that in our national newspapers anymore.
For some women, it ended less glamorously, being chased by comedian Benny Hill. Some talking of the curse of page 3, its exploitation, and obviously sexism. The Sun has toyed with this idea before, but now, amid scandal, might want a fresh start. Nick Payton-Walsh, CNN, London.
Well, the No More Page 3 campaign has been gaining ground. So what does it mean for the Sun newspaper if it decides to change the page's content? Well, I'm joined now by media and PR guru Richard Hillgrove. And, of course, there are other newspapers around the world who do a similar thing. Richard, decision to effectively drop what is an institution in the UK, a good one or a bad one?
I think it's a dangerous one. I think when newspapers start succumbing to pressure groups or the public to cave in and lose their sense of identity. The Sun, I mean, page 3 is very carry-on, it's funny, it's a big part of its sense, you know, its personality.
Is it caving in, or is it that Rupert Murdoch simply doesn't care enough for his newspapers anymore?
Well, that's what we discussed before, but I believe that he doesn't care. I think if it looks like he's caving in, he thinks that's a plus point for him. He knows the money's coming from television. He's putting investment into regional television in the northeast of England. He's doing a trial because he sees regional newspapers diminishing. He probably sees the Sun newspaper losing more circulation. It's already on a slide. And the future is televisual, screen-based, iPads, smartphones, and he doesn't really care.
Let's not dismiss out of hand the power of the newspaper. It is the country's best or second best-selling newspaper, and something like 4.5 million people at least read it. I'm not saying that they buy it, but their eyeballs get to it. So maybe page 3 in the campaign is having an effect on the Sun's advertisers. There is that argument, of course. What about the readers? We hit the streets of London to find out if the newspaper is more appealing with or without page 3. This is what people said.
I'd still buy it because I like the sport and some fruit. But page 3, some people are offended by it, obviously. It was a religion and that, but I don't see a problem with it, to be honest. But I'd still buy it because of sport.
I mean, I'm not a Sun reader, but I don't think it would make much difference to me. Each their own. If they like to read a paper with that, they can.
But I guess it would kind of change what we know the Sun for. The Sun is that kind of paper, so I mean, it doesn't shock me that it's in it, but it would make a difference personally to me.
It's like asking people whether they voted for Berlusconi. Nobody admits to it. Nobody admits to actually reading the Sun, it seems. But nobody that we spoke to, at least, seemed particularly bothered about girls showing or not wearing any clothes on their top. on page 3?
I think it's just very dangerous that you've got a situation with Leveson who's come in and crushed the media. The media has lost its voice, the Sun in particular.
This is, of course, the hacking campaign.
Well, the hacking, but I mean, it's against the law to hack before the Leveson inquiry, and now it's just got more teeth, and everyone's on the sort of mission to bring down institutions and media institutions in particular. So you've got your hacked off on one side, now you've got this group trying to take page 3 away because it's wrong. I mean, the concern should be more the content on the internet. We're quite happy for young people to look at hardcore with not much regulation, and this is, in the Sun, is just a bit of fun. It shouldn't be up to groups, you know, pressure groups, lobbying and trying to dismantle things from news organisations. It's a sign of the times, and it's a real slippery slope, I can tell you.
Some people suggesting that it was at the behest of the advertisers who said, listen, we're not interested in this anymore. So it really was a question of money at the end of the day, potentially for Murdoch's group. If not page 3 and what it has shown to date, what else then? Is it, surely page 3 is one of the best environments for some of your greatest news, as it were. So is it going to be sleaze? Is it going to be more guts? Is it going to be more celebrity, which the Sun, of course, is very good at?
I think, the Sun has already shown since Leveson that it has been sterilised somewhat. I mean, you've got the News of the World being shut down, you've got the Sun taking a real punch. You know, you've still got this whole hacking thing going on. So the journalists are very wary. There are a lot more press releases leaking in. There's not a lot of investigations going on. I think this is part and parcel of a sanitised, sterilised media. And the Sun, which was always brash and symbolic and cheeky and got to the point, has been completely silenced. Murdoch doesn't care. He's making a lot more money from Sky.
Interesting. We thank you for coming in. Richard Hillgrove on the show tonight, a man who has regularly appeared, not on page 3, but in the Sun newspaper, is what we're going to do and discuss, after this short break. Pedro and Bex.